Hello, 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 class. Let's all go ahead and find our seats. Perfect. Let's go ahead and find butts for seats. Okay. All right. Everybody have a good summer? Yeah? Notice a couple of you are a little bit more tan. I saw that some of you made the news. Good job. I do want to just make sure, because I noticed that we do have a couple new faces, that all of us are in the correct spot. This is going to be murder basics. Murder basics. Does everybody think they're in the right class? Yeah? Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and go through roll call right now. Did anybody not choose an alias this year? Okay, and we are all familiar that we choose aliases. We keep anonymity at this school, so no discussion of surnames, first names, nothing like that. I don't want to hear any discussions. I don't want anybody sharing any sort of private information with each other, okay? Okay. Now, did anybody not choose a code name or an alias this year? You did not. Okay, so what I'm gonna have you do is just go ahead and take a little time to think about it. But then you can go ahead and just drop off a little note for me at the end of this roll call, okay? I'm just gonna go ahead and go through the rest of it in the meantime. But you go ahead and work on that, okay? All right. Okay. So I'm sure some of this will feel a little familiar for some of you, obviously, but we're doing it anyway. So first off, we have Lady Doom. Oh. Okay, Lady Doom. Perfect. The Hatchet. I remember you. Still love the name. Red Fury. Back there. Deathstalker. Perfect. Green Mist. Sphinx. Okay. Iron Devil. That is an interesting name. Very unique. Did anything inspire that? No? Just off the top of the dome? I like it. Good job. Okay, so Black Axe. I saw you here earlier. Rip Slinger. Rip Slinger. Did you change your name? Weren't you something last year? You were. And what was that? Right. Rip Slinger. Like R.I.P., like Tombstone. Okay. I don't know if I'm not a huge fan, but you know what? To each their own, that's fine. You can always change it later, but it won't be applied until next year, as we all know. Okay, so Rip Slinger. Blood Moon. Perfect. Red Dawn. Nice. You almost done with that name? Okay, a couple more minutes. Which means we are on Night Slayer. Night Slayer. Night Slayer? No? Anybody know them? Yes? You do? Do you know where they might be? Schedule change. Okay. Let me just go ahead and make a note of that. I just won't expect them today. Okay. So then Night Slayer. Let's see who else we have. White Lion. Awesome. The Screeching Beast. Yes, I absolutely remember you. Still very accurate to your name. Not that covert, though. You might want to think about that. Okay. I'm coming up to the last name here. You want to go ahead and bring that name up for me? Perfect. Okay. So then we've got Dream Strike. Awesome. All right. And for you. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. All right. So, last but, honey, this is supposed to be an alias, which means, it's not supposed to be, oh, you know. This is not your name? Okay, then do you want to go with something a little bit more in line with our school here? Typically, students like to choose something that's a little bit scary or threatening of sort. And this is not that. No? No. Okay. And do you want some time to think about it? Maybe? No, this is what you want. Okay. All right. I'll just make a note of that. I mean, there is always time to change it, but again, it will not be in effect until next year. Okay. All right, so last but not least, we have river. Everyone. Nope. Nope, not blood river, just plain old body of water. River. Everybody welcome river. Okay. We're just gonna clean right past that. Now, since we are all here, did everybody do their summer work? No. You know what, honestly, I didn't really expect any of you to, so that's totally fine. We're just gonna gloss over it, pretend like it never happened. What we will be doing today then, is I assume that none of you have your favorite weapons here today. One of you. Okay, excellent. Okay, well, here's what we're gonna do, class. Make sure that tomorrow you all are bringing some sort of weapon to class, hopefully a hand weapon of sorts, anything that is not gun related, let's say. So edged weapons, unique items, self-made weapons if you like, anything like that. Nothing too large. Again, something that hopefully fits in the palm. And then we're gonna go around and talk about why it's our favorite weapon, okay? Awesome. All right, so first off today, because kind of gotta take this on a whim, I'm going to start off with some of the basics. So I'll be going through a kill kit today with you, how to prepare one, what should go in one. Yes, I'm aware that you've already done this last year. Some of these new students, as well as some of the old students, would like a refresher or to even learn about it for the first time, okay? You already had to repeat this class once. Let's try not to do it again, all right? Do you want to push it? Do you want to push it? Okay. All right. No more interruptions, class, okay? I know it's the first day of school. It's easy to want to be relaxed about it, but we do have some things to get through this year and learn, so these things are important. If you could perk up your ears, open your eyes, and pay attention, all right? So, this class is my version of a kill kit. Now, not everybody's kill kit is going to be quite the same. You can choose whatever bag or transportable item to store things in, to carry from place to place. Some people just like using a plain old trash bag. I personally prefer a bag such as this. Leather is always best, or if you could, even some sort of leather or plastic things that you can easily remove blood from. It is beneficial for you in the long run, and trust me on that. Okay. Now this is one of my personal bags. I don't use it for this anymore. I mostly use it for demonstration because I've primarily retired, although I do step out from time to time. But it's always good for demonstration. So first things first, does anybody know what we're looking for first in here? Okay, so we are looking for things to make sure that we ourselves are contained and that the area that we are going to be committing these murders in is also contained, okay? So we want to make sure that we've got that taken care of. So, personally, gloves, always, 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 always a necessity, okay? I cannot stress it enough. So, always make sure that you've got gloves. Quite frankly, it doesn't really matter if they are leather or plain old disposable gloves, nitrate. As long as you have something to help cover those tricky little fingerprints, okay? Okay, so next up, what we are gonna have is something like a drop cloth. Typically, a lot of times when I go into someone's personal home, I will use tarps, trash bags, that type of thing. In this particular instance, I just have a fabric drop cloth as a reference. The one thing I will say is that when you guys are planning out what kind of cloth you want to use for blood catching, hauling out bodies, you want to make sure it's something that is very durable, something that's going to be strong enough to haul out a body if you need to wrap stuff up, and it's also going to be thick enough to either soak up any blood splatter, pooling, oozing that might happen. You're really just trying to use it to create the least amount of evidence, obviously. So I also do enjoy having this on hand in case I need to use it additionally, kind of as a hood for someone if I'm trying to cover their eyes, gag. You can even rip it into strips if you'd like and use it as tie downs. So that's item number 2. I also cannot stress about how awesome having any sort of saran wrap or obviously again any sort of garbage bag, plastic material. You really can't get enough of it because quite frankly it makes cleanup so much easier. It really does. So I like to keep this on hand. Also, you can use it as any sort of suffocation device. You can also use this as a tie down as well, something that a lot of new students don't understand. When you twist it and pull it, it can get really, really tight and restricting. And it also works as a great restraint. So something to think about for all of you. Now, that being said, it kind of covers the basics of essentially the territory that you're going to be working in as well as yourself. If you happen to not be wearing the appropriate attire, you can also double some of these items as your own clothing or coverings. I've had to do this on a number of occasions, but you'll learn that as we go and we get a little deeper into the semester. Now, next up, you want to look for something to restrain people, okay? Now, let's see what I brought in here. So, handcuffs are always a very easy option. These I took from a police officer years ago. Funny story. honestly so in love with that person, but didn't work out how I thought it would. Anyway, long story short, I got a new gun and some cuffs from it. So handcuffs, easy solution. You can link them, latch them to stuff. The only problem with this is that it is semi-easy to pick these locks. I will say that. And depending on the set of cuffs, these ones are a little bit older. So, you know, the latches or the chains on them tend to be a little bit more fragile. If you're gonna get cuffs, you want to make sure that they are newer, that you have spare keys. Always have a set of spare keys, and that they're essentially up to date. They make newer and better ones every year. Some now don't even have chains on them. That's how you know these are old. Okay. Another one of my favorite things for tie downs before torture, belts. Belts. We all got them. You can find them a lot of times on the person. I mean, it's a tool. It's a weapon sometimes. It's a tie down. It's got a lot of great purposes. You know, you can do a lot with it. I particularly like to use it for tie downs, and let me tell you why. It's a little softer on the skin. They are harder to release yourself from, so once you got somebody bound down, it's quite difficult for them to maneuver around. Now, unless you're working with a very, very, very old, worn out piece of leather, they tend to be pretty stiff. Some of the older ones can become a little bit more fragile or thinned over time, so make sure you watch out for that when you are packing your bags, okay? Did you hear me? Are you listening? Are you listening or are you talking? Are you listening or are you talking? Okay. Now, when it comes to tools after you've got somebody restrained, again, you're welcome to use rope if you'd like, if that's something that you prefer. Honestly, it's not my preference. I find that it's a little unreliable. People can shimmy out of it sometimes. It can loosen up its own self. So I like to be really careful when using rope. Just think about that. You can also burn through it. It can be a little tricky. So after you have people restrained, I like to start going through certain tools. We'll come to this in a second. This first one I like to have on me quite often. Does anybody know what might be inside? Not you. You were here last year, don't cheat. Anybody? Not quite. So this one has a small assortment of items. I've got a couple syringes here, a needle for those. I've got a vial of, we'll get to that at a later date. But essentially, this can render somebody unconscious. It really depends on your own decisions when it comes to what you want to keep in here. I like having something like this on hand pretty much all the time. It does come in handy more than you would think, I will say that. This I like to have because if you'll notice, it's got this little extra bit at the bottom. Now in here, and I recommend this for all of you, that you have either a powdered dose of something that can either be taken orally for yourself if you need to get yourself out of a situation and keep your secrets with you for the love of your country, or simply due to the fact for who's ever hired you to do this work, or a powdered substance that you can mix into either food or drink to help render your victim unconscious, disabled, and we'll get to some of those drugs and what they can do later on in the semester again. Does anybody see what's wrong in this kit? Anybody see what's wrong here? Nobody? Anybody? No? Okay, so this is something that you need to be aware of when you're building stuff like this. Now you want to make sure that anytime you have a syringe that you've got multiple needles, okay? You might be asking yourself why, and it's because when you are mixing drugs or when you are mixing certain chemicals, sometimes they can react to each other in a negative way. You also just in general don't want to share needles, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, this, again, is another one of my favorite things that I used to carry. This has all my small tools in it, my small torture tools. Now, again, plastic. Never underestimate plastic. It really does do wonders for just keeping a clean workspace. And when you are working, it is vital that you pay attention to that. Okay? Eyes up here. It is vital. This is something that you don't want to overlook. I see it all the time. Rookie mistakes. But plastic. And this is cheap. It is very cheap. I think I might have gotten it with another kit. Anyway, so in here, I like to keep different surgical tools. Things that I can use for prying, pinching, pulling, even opening different parts of the body. These ones are nice because they have a latch on it that will allow you to clamp down, so if you need to stretch or hold something open. I also like to keep a variety of pincers on hand. Okay? Great tool. You can use this for so many things, mostly because they can remove things from virtually any part of the body. The leverage that you have on here, it's almost like biting down, but with much more force and way sharper. Now, certain things, again, grips, you really can't have too many. When it comes to really small tools, try to keep your stuff organized, okay? I've got a variety of them in here. Some of these are dental tools, small surgical tools, which again we can get into at a different date. Okay, now one thing that I am gonna stress, it seems like I'm stressing a lot today, you know what I'm saying? But one thing that I will make sure that you guys understand is take advantage of the things around you. Simple everyday weapons. Obviously, blades like this, incredibly useful. If you find yourself in a pinch, scan around. Look around the room. Sometimes people even carry a lot of items on their body that you can use as a weapon. Again, that is going to be a lesson at a later date. If any of you have questions about any of this, you can go ahead and talk to me about that a little bit later today. I noticed a couple hands raising, but we will get into that again, like I said, later today. Now, as we're on the subject of items in the home, as I said, look around you. Things like ice cream scoopers, okay? I've taken out plenty of eyes with this. Honestly, fairly hard, okay? You can clonk somebody over the head with it. Really don't underestimate certain simple items like this, as well as deconstructing them, which we will have practice with later on in the year. One of my personal favorite tools found in the home, or deadly weapons. I don't always carry these, but if I want to find something that I know will impact some damage, scissors. Scissors, okay? Scissors are an excellent weapon, particularly this type, these stainless steel. Some people call them shears. Doesn't really matter. These are excellent for getting a good finger hold, so you're making sure that you are not sliding down on any sort of blade or edge. They are incredibly sharp. I keep mine very well sharpened, but it just depends on your personal preference. This is one of my favorites. Now, the ice pick, always an excellent tool as well. This is one that I've had for a very long time. I'd love to pass it around, let each of you hold it. I know they're not typically used much anymore, so these are difficult to find in the home. But if someone does happen to have one of these, you are in luck, because so many options to do with this. So there's a lot to be desired when it comes to ice. Or not a lot to be desired. A lot to behold, I should say, with the ice pick. Wonderful, excellent weapon. However, if you do get caught with one of these, they do draw a little bit of suspicion because, as I said, not super popular these days. Now, tools in the home. Again, things like staple gun. Always make sure that there are staples in it. Clearly, I've used this one up pretty good. But excellent choice. I prefer the ones that carry the longer staples in there, so you're making sure to really penetrate through that skin to give the most agonizing pain that you can. Hammers, again. Hammers are an excellent weapon. There's all kinds of them. I just brought an assortment today. Typical hammers that you would see. This is a magnetic hammer. It's more for framing and that type of thing. So small to large sizes. Ball peen, again, excellent weapon. This round edge can sometimes be a little confusing to anybody doing after-death reports. It's not always the easiest weapon to detect. So make sure you take that with you if you do choose to use it at any point in time. Again, this one's got a nice little weight on the end, so gives a nice little grip to it, gives a good rock. Teeny tiny little ones for the delicate work. Sometimes I like to use this one, or did like to use this one, with my ice pick, so it's always good to have some of those on hand. Hatchets as well, axes, excellent, wonderful tools. This one's got a flat hammer edge on the back. I believe this was used for someone's fishing kit prior to me taking it over, but it's mine now and I've used it for any number of things. So, that being said, body aftercare, very difficult. You want to make sure that you're not overwhelming yourself. You want to make sure that you have several saws. I like to keep larger and smaller saws on hand in my bag most of the time, just to make sure that I've got all my bases covered, that I can make sure and get through that flesh and bone to break up the body into smaller bits. This is a wonderful cleaver that I got for $11 in Chinatown, so extremely sharp, but also excellent for chopping through bones, joints, that type of thing can be very difficult. I also like to keep a boning knife on hand in case I need to strip anything down, cut anything into smaller sizes, okay? We want to make sure that we're looking through the full process of start to finish with this crime scene when it comes to assembling a kill kit. Now, as I said before, each of these can be unique to each and every one of you. I love seeing the different ways that people reinvent them, the different packaging that they use to transport their stuff. But how about over the next couple of days, we will slowly bring in items that you guys think would be useful in your own kill kits, and we can build them together. How does that sound? Excellent. Okay. That being said, I think it is just about time for lunch, so make sure you guys bring your antidotes with you. Sometimes they like to spice things up on this first day of school, okay? All right, excellent. So I will see you guys back here in about an hour. Wonderful.